What was great advice 20 years ago, but definitely isn't now? To look after your phone battery, you should let it go all the way down to 0% and then charge fully to 100%. This is a good one. My 23-year-old nephew thought this was the way to go even now, because his mum had told him. Was visibly surprised when I told him modern batteries were better served by not letting them drop below 15%. Edit. Wow. Thanks for awards. My first. So many questions that I'm not qualified to answer, but so many knowledgeable Redditors have provided great info below. I'll try my best to summarize in response. Almost whatever you do, your battery will perform for about 2 years on a single charge a day. But if you want to get to 4 to 5 years plus on a single charge a day, maintaining 20 to 80% battery is the sweet spot. Overcharging is as damaging as letting the battery run flat. Nearly all new phones have a setting to protect overcharging. On my Galaxy Note 10, Android S12, it's called Protect Battery and will cap charging at 85%. On Android, open Settings, the cog icon, and use Search for Protect. Samsung specifically tells you this setting is to extend battery life. What your battery power display shows isn't necessarily the true state of power. However, the display is what you should work to, that's what manufacturers want you to observe. I don't know enough about the chemistry manufacturer to answer other detailed questions, but there are a considerable number of expert insights in the convos below. Is that really true? If so, why? And related, my Samsung phone has a setting where you can set it to never charge to be above 85% to prolong battery life. Lithium-ion chemistries in use in electronics show less degradation when not charged and discharged to the extremes, 0% to 100%. Best to try and stick to the 20% to 80% for battery longevity. I'm glad the Samsung phones have that setting, though I wish they would let us manually adjust the setting too. Isn't 100% on most phones 80 to 85% in the first place? Usually if the charging controller is good and calibrated. I remember when my dad told me as a teenager to never be the one to pursue a guy, because I'm a woman. Maybe that was to keep me safe in my youth, but I've since come to realize that most of the dudes who are worth being with are either shy or oblivious, and I have no choice but to make the first move. I'm going to admit I'm absolutely terrible at distinguishing if a woman is just being friendly with me or is actually into me, and I think it's the same for a lot of guys. I generally assume a woman is just being friendly, as I'd rather be wrong about that than potentially creep a woman out who's only being nice. So I really appreciate when women make the first move. News.ku.edu people are less than 50% accurate when guessing that someone is flirting. So you're saying that I should reverse my guesses to get 50% accuracy? At an interview manager, all right, if you don't have any more questions for me, I think we're done here. We'll give you a call in the next few days to let you know if you got the position. You, suddenly bashful, are you flirting with me? You need to memorize this cause you won't have the info accessible later. The most important skill isn't knowing the right answer, it's knowing how to find out the right answer. And that's gotten much easier. With how easy it is to find the right answer these days, I propose that it's much more important to be able to identify the wrong answer. That's actually a great point. So much misinformation out there. If we come full circle, I would propose that it is much harder to find out the right answer, because now you have to wade through a pile of wrong answers first, from increasingly authoritative sounding sources, and sources which claim they have waded through the pile of wrong answers for you, only to deliver the wrong answer. It's getting pretty deep to get to the right answer, if you don't already have a good idea where the right answer should be in the first place. In high school, as part of one of my classes, they brought in a lady who worked for some recruiting firm for a few days to teach us how to do resumes and cover letters and such, and she told us even if a place has an option to apply online, always go in person and pick up an application. No one takes online applications seriously. I was actually told this by a seasoned, experienced older employee around 2011 or so while working a temporary position and seeking to apply for a permanent one, which by the way included the possibility of a pension. I carefully filled out a thick application stack by hand and delivered it personally to our. Turns out that due to some recently added rule, I was not eligible unless I went through the online application process, and no one told me until it was too late. It was probably better for my mental health in the long run to leave that job rather than feeling like I had to stay for the benefits, but the whole experience really soured me on trusting anyone's advice on anything ever. Always verify from the relevant source. I was told in high school that by the time I graduated there wouldn't be any computer jobs left, so I should study something else. Nobody gave me this advice, but my amazing critical thinking skills and intuition told me this exact thing when I was selecting my major some 15 years ago. I've given up critical thinking ever since. I think it's because everyone we talked to wanted to do it. The thing is, a lot of those people realized they weren't smart enough to do it or didn't bother trying to do it. Lol, we all ducking tricked each other out of good jobs. To this day, my mom believes the way to apply for any job is to walk in and hand your future boss your paper resume. Whether or not they're actively hiring. She's not even 60 yet, but calls anyone who applies online a lazy piece of shit, and she doesn't believe I have an actual job because I work from home. She just hates computers. Edit, I guess some people like sorting by new, Lamau. I don't live anywhere near my mom. We don't get along, but if we did live close she would absolutely assume I'm available all day long. No, I don't know why she hates technology. She thinks it's all a scam. She's the person that would call it support asking where the any key is. My job is entirely tech-based, and we only meet in person to run inventory quarterly, but she's 1000% under the assumption I work in a diner because that's the family legacy, I guess. Or maybe because I just love diners, so she assumes I work there? I'm uncertain. My dad used to think this, then I applied for his job and showed him all the steps. All he had to do was show up on time and promise not to be a terrorist, didn't even need a suit. The application I took was about 6 pages of writing, a long waiting list, multiple interviews, and a 6-month application ban if they do not say yes. My dad was constantly sending me jobs at his company that I was not qualified for. I finally applied for one that was actually in my field, and he was shocked to find out that his recommendation meant nothing and that they didn't even have the budget to hire someone after doing 2 interviews. It's so ducked up to call someone in for 2 interviews when you know you don't have the budget for a role. What are the odds they got forgiven PPP loans? I got promoted at my municipal job, but they were still required to officially open the position up and conduct interviews. I felt so bad because everyone involved except the people applying being interviewed knew that the job was already taken. It's cruel, and I'd bet lots of us have been put through it without realizing it. In Sweden we call those shoe size listings, very common in government. Our constitution demands that only objective criteria are considered when deciding who gets a government job, so whenever there's a preferred candidate the ad is tailored to require their individual skill set and characteristics. On more than one occasion, I've been asked to write the ad for the job that I'm supposed to apply to, so I can make sure that it specifically targets things that only I can do. As you say, it's cruel to the other applicants, but it's also a tremendous waste of time and resources for the organization, and hence the taxpayers. They're going to end up with the exact same result anyway, but with extra administrative steps in between. I was ready to answer this until I realized 20 years ago was 2002 and not 1992. If Smashing Pumpkins released 1979 today, it'd be called 2006. I Hate You. If Wonder Years came out today, it'd be set after 911. 20 years ago, don't meet up with people you met on the internet and don't get in cars with strangers. Today, get into the car with a stranger that you've summoned to your house using the internet. You're searching for a soulmate on the internet? Lord, you must be insane. Met my wife on the internet about 12 years ago, and everyone thought I was making her up until we could afford to fly her out here. Then it was she's probably scamming you. If she's a scam, best one I ever got caught up in. She's playing the long con. Yup. When Op is 83 years old. That's when she's gonna get you. The shock? She was Gary Oldman the entire time. Spending whole day on the internet would never make you successful in life. Said my dad, you can't spend the whole day staring at your computer screen. Nobody is going to pay you to do that.